Hey guys, it's TF Nut. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another model kit review. This time it's going to be of the brand new Bandai 30-minute missions Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon Orbiter Nightfall. Very glad to finally have this one here. As I said in my review for Steel Haze, while I was building Steel Haze, within a week, this was in stock at my local HobbyTown, and I jumped right on it to get it because this one is selling out even more than Steel Haze, and both of them are not very easy to get. This is selling out so much that Big Bad Toy Store had to cancel my pre-order, which they never do that. That's how much they just don't have that much in stock. So hopefully, I think by the beginning of next year, they'll have more in stock. I think they're re-releasing these like already. So yeah, they're doing really well. Let's just go ahead and talk about the packaging here. I'm not going to go into too much of my knowledge on Armored Core, which is almost non-existent. I need to keep playing, I promise. But it says, you know, Armored Core 6. And you also have the 30-minute missions logo. This image, both these images here, like in the foreground, in the background, they're fantastic. Really great design on this box. You also have where it says Bandai Namco, if it's too bright there. It also has ages 8 and up, and then that just says it's an official licensed product of Bandai Namco. All this stuff down here that I'm not even going to read some of the lettering and all that, but it also says Raven there. Over on this side, that's just the Bandai logo. Now let's back up a little bit. This might be a little bit tricky, but on this side, double checking, yeah, on this side, as well as the opposite side, is going to look the exact same. With, yeah, you have Nightfall here, all this wording here. This is actually number 1, and they had to get this a little later, so I reviewed the second of these kits first, which is interesting. On this side, it just talks about all the stuff that comes with, you know, what the weapon units are there. Goes over the front and rear. The different body parts going on there too. And then right here, it pretty much is just, you know, legal information going on there, as well as what tools to use. And then you do have a barcode right there. Not sure if you're gonna find these in any stores that aren't special hobby stores, or, you know, finding it online, of course. Then all this extra stuff going on right here. Just give you a quick look at this. So let's go ahead and start unboxing this. Now, I had to double check because I felt like there was more plastic in this kit compared to Steel Haze, and there definitely is. Not by much. 2 runners. The various sizes in these runners are a little bit large and a little bit smaller runners going on in here. But a similar approach to how they did the runners in terms of parts laid out here. So in this bag, you can see that we have, you know, some dark brown parts, some gray parts for the actual Armored Core, but also a separate runner for the weapon system. Here we have some different tan runners there, as well as that decal sheet, and I'll show that off a little later. We also have parts for the feet that are a darker brown color. We also have another weapon system runner there, as well as some more tan parts. A few of these are for the legs and the arm parts as well. And then another smaller dark brown runner going on in there. And we also have more of a grayish brown and a tan going on in this bag of runners. We have the 30-minute missions catalog piece here that does have some art for Armored Core, you know, figures here that if you want, you can pose them there. And then we do have this instruction manual, pretty large amount of instructions going on here, and I'm doing a really bad job with fumbling this. A couple of these pages are in color, so you can see some of it. You can get a little bit of an idea, when that's out of focus, of the runners going on there. And then as you see here, we have these sticker style decals. These look really good, very similar approach to how they did Steel Haze. Sticker style decals. They may have a little bit of a border on there when you put them on there. I have not put these on here at all yet. I will wait to do that, but they do look really nicely printed. I wonder if we're ever going to get water slides for these kits. And here is the model kit completely built after everything is said and done. This thing is absolutely fantastic looking. I really think Bandai hit the ground running with both of these starter Armored Core kits that they've released so far. Now, when it comes to the overall building experience, and I guess how it is as a figure, I think I like Nightfall here a little bit more than Steel Haze. Not super fair to say that, because this thing here stands up a little bit more like a normal human, whereas Steel Haze has its own type of design going on there. So it's still a good design. I just like this design particularly a little bit more. Although, I will say when it comes to the detailing right out of the box, I do think that Steel Haze has this one beat. You're definitely going to want to panel line this one a little bit more and add maybe a little bit more paint. but both are absolutely fantastic looking kits, and they're absolutely fun to mess around with. So let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories, then we'll take a closer look at the model kit. Now, I'm not going to go over every single little individual name of each part of whatever these weapons are. I'm not going to memorize all these letters. I didn't do it for Steel Haze. I won't do it here. But what I will do is leave the exact names of each weapon next to the corresponding accessory here on screen. And then I'll just tell you what the basics are of each of these. What we have from the top right there, besides the head, which is a really cool alternate head, and we'll talk about that a little bit, we have the assault rifle, of course. Top left, that is the pile bunker. Bottom right, that is the dual missile launcher. And on the bottom left, that is the grenade cannon. So all of these look really good. What I was realizing when I was doing this review is that weapon set 2, I believe, is almost exactly the same accessories that come with this Nightfall. So if you really don't feel like having duplicates of weapons, I would maybe skip that weapon set. But if you want these exact same weapons and you don't want to have to reuse it for, let's say, the normal Orbiter that's coming out soon, then sure, maybe purchase number 2 so you can have those weapons specifically for that armored core. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is this head. I am really digging what they did with this alternate head. It is basically just a blast eye visor type of accessory here. Very nicely done, nice separation. I will say, again, you're going to want to add some extra, like, maybe some dry brushing or the very least panel lining, because this like grayish brown plastic, I think it could be better. This, though, these eye covers are very nicely detailed. I have no problems with how these look, even without paint. You do get an extra neck piece here that is really nice. What I will say is that this extra neck piece is in here, but when you try to pull it out, it wants to stay in there. So the good thing is that both of these are the exact same neck pieces, so if you really wanted to, if you're having trouble with interchanging the necks, just popped off the head for the ball joint and it fits on there with no problem. Looking really nice on there. And we'll take a look at how they did the blast, eye effect here on the normal head in a little bit. Then we have the assault rifle, very different from the assault rifle that we got with Steel Haze. I did try to add this type of basically a panel lining effect with one of my Gundam markers. I didn't do a very good job. I have to clean this all up and start over again. Yeah, I don't think it was done very well. Like half of these things I had to clean up, and it didn't, it basically my efforts were for naught because I ended up having to clean a lot anyway. I just wanted to bring out these details. So without adding a panel liner, actually these look really nice. These details on here. I'm actually really digging how they did the barrel. A little bit of a port there. This is just a seam line all the way down here, so you'll maybe want to clean that up. It's not the prettiest. I don't mind it entirely though. And then just all the other outer workings and maybe even like inner workings of how this rifle looks and works. I'm not even going to pretend to know how all of this is supposed to work on a giant mech weapon, but like I guess what would be a scope looks really great. This under section of this barrel is nice with these nice lines. I'm really digging what's going on under here. I don't know if that's where the magazine is basically, but just like all of this is maybe the ejection port, the handle, all of it is just really fantastic looking. There is this whole port here, I believe, that can be used if you have the weapons, like the weapon storage system that comes with Steel Haze. I haven't tried it out yet, actually. Maybe I should have tested that before, showing this. But what I do want to show off is just how you do the hands. You just sandwich the weapon in between the hands, of course, like you would with a gunpla. Pop that in, and then these hands actually do come out, unlike Steel Haze. It's fine for Steel Haze because it's just kind of how the design is, but it's nice that you get removable hands here if you need to do anything. With removing the hands, it's going to be easier to hold this by removing the hands if you ask me. This looks really good when it holds it like this. Now this is a really sick weapon, and depending on who you ask, this might be the highlight of the kit, but there is one flaw that comes with this particular weapon, but this is the pile bunker. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I really dig the detailing on the surface. Now I think there's some dust I gotta get off there. I did say that this kit needs some more detailing and paint, but these weapons, if you went without detailing them, I think it would all of them look really fantastic. These parts aren't super secure, or at least how I've done them. I mean, I think they're supposed to hinge a little bit, but they don't really have any kind of good structural integrity. So let me know if they're actually not supposed to do this. Maybe they are. I don't know. It's just these things are too floppy. But the rest of this, again, I'm not even going to pretend to act like I know what every little mechanical piece of this is called. But what I can tell you is you have this peg system here. So this is the undone, ready to, about to fire type of pile bunker here. There is an attachment of this piece right here on the forearm on the left, and it's only on the left. You can't use it on the right side. But as you see, you just plug that 3mm port into the forearm there, and then that is how that's going to work out. And that's fantastic looking. Here's the thing though. If you want to have the pile bunker being fired, what you're going to have to do is pop this out. And then, I may have to do this off camera actually. Yeah, I remember now. So you undo this, then you pull that out, and then you have to go in and do all this. That plugs in really securely at least. And then I'm wondering if I'm even going to have to cut again. No, I don't think I have to. I think it was like this. Yeah, so that is the fired up, basically activated version of the pile bunker. And then you put this, man, I cannot do this thing on camera. Put that there. And this thing is really cool. Like, borderline parts former here. Well, not really. Just using I guess parts formation is part of the, I don't know. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Swappable parts to make it look like it's activated. We have this long needle piece here that is, a little fragile if you bend that. So just be careful. All these parts, it feels like these are actually more secure in here unless you push it a little too forward. So again, great detailing all throughout all of this stuff here. The thing is that they really just should have done it to where it's an extra piece and you just can swap between them and you don't have to remove parts and then reassemble everything. I just wish that they gave us this, and other reviewers have said this too. I've also forgot to mention that this needs to be pushed out. I believe this needs to be pushed out, and then you push it up like so. Yes, I believe that. But I just wish they gave us an extra middle piece here, so that way you don't have to, and then maybe an extra piece like this, so you don't have to just swap out all the parts all the time just to have two different versions of the pile bunker. I think that's a little silly, but it's not that big of a complaint. Now on to the grenade cannon. On both sides, just has fantastic detailing. This extra piece of plastic, I'm not going to remove that because it's pretty fitly snug in there. I think I have, yeah, I was cleaning this up and I guess I didn't get all that plastic dust off there properly, so I apologize for that. This thing just looks fantastic though. Again, a little bit of a seam line. I didn't do a good job there. A little bit of a seam line all the way down the middle on both sides. But on this side, and then on this side, you're really not going to notice. And then you have the swiveling attachment point. And I kind of had this idea, during the Steel Haze. I was like, does Nightfall come with both of these? And maybe I did say that. I don't exactly remember what I said in that review. But sure enough, we have both weapon style attachment points here for the back, where we only get one of these exact types for Steel Haze, and the other one is a fixed type of weapon storage system there. So this is going to allow for you to have, both sides if you really wanted to. Well, this is only going to look like it's meant for, it's really only going to look like it's meant for the right side. You really could, if you really wanted to, put it on the left, but that's not super duper natural looking. I actually don't know how it would be in the game. I'm a poser. I'm sorry guys, fake fan, but as you can see, swapping that in and out could be a little easier, but not too bad to swap out. And then this does hinge because of this. You can go all the way back, and then this will also allow for extra articulation. So thrusters are falling off. I apologize. Yes, you can move that all the way back if you want to, or move it all the way forward because of this extra joint here and here. So that is really cool. And then I went ahead and put this missile rack on here. What's awesome about this is just what you can do in terms of movability. This hinges here, and then of course you get that hinge going into the back of the armored core. Hinge here, hinge right there, yeah, hinge there. And then this also hinges outward like this. if you really wanted to, you can remove, well, first of all, these ones here on each of the outside, I guess I should say, if this will pop out, they have a groove in there, and then you plug that in there. And the instructions tell you how you're supposed to orient all of this, where like they're kind of slanted from like top right to bottom left there, but then this middle section pops out like that because it has a peg in there going into that peg hole like so. And then that's actually hard to do back on camera, I don't know why. But yeah, these things look great. Again, 6 of these, almost these exact type of detailing here, except for the differences in how they do like the plug system. And once again, if you really wanted to, I actually do think this might be easier to swap. So let's try that, because it might look a little, actually, hang on. I'm not really doing what I think it needs to do in order to make what I want to make happen work, if that makes any sense. So yeah, you can swap it to the opposite side if you really wanted to, but it's not really gonna look like it fits over there. But it's nice to know that you can, if you want to figure something out, swap these parts all the way around. And just the way that all of these accessories here fit onto here, slightly better compared to Steel Haze. Everything with Steel Haze only really works with Steel Haze. This I can definitely tell is going to work with Steel Haze, Nightfall, and then a bunch of other ones, so that's nice to see. Now, the way I have everything going on here, it looks extremely busy. I understand that, but you can just tell swappability of the parts between both of these kits that we have so far is very fluid. You can use all of the parts. You just have to make sure the attachment points that go into the actual back of the armor core are being swapped between each armor core. So the ones that come with Nightfall here, just put those into Steel Haze, and then you have 2 of those that are going to work with the grenade missile launcher there, and then the dual missiles going on as well. Pile bunker actually, and as well as the laser slicer, I thought those 2 were going to be the hardest to interchange, but because all you need is the 3mm connection point on the back of each of those arms, it's going to work out just fine. Maybe it feels a little slightly loose for each one, so pile bunker feels a little bit loose on Steel Haze. Same thing in regards to the laser slicer and Nightfall here, but as you can see, I'm not going to really mess around with these too much, but they hold their weapons just fine. They're going to look really good if you want to keep swapping parts in and out in terms of weapons and accessories. And then I did want to see what the weapon set 1 that I reviewed with Steel Haze looks like on this. I won't talk about them in depth again. I got to get on with the rest of the review. But as you can see, pretty much everything is fitting on here flawlessly. Again, you just have to make sure you use Nightfall's connection points to go into the back in terms of, the back attachment weapons that come with weapon set 1. But everything here works just smoothly. So it's now December 10th, and I've been extremely late to finishing this review, but I've also been incredibly sick, so I'm better now. We're going to push through, damn it. I do really like the detailing of how they did the eye in there, and this overall head sculpt is great. Well, I mean, of course, everything put together, that forms the head sculpt is great, because, of course, these are different parts in here. The detailing in, the neck section, just this little, detailing there, and then the actual neck where you can see some of this almost like this wiring going on there. Now when the head moves, sometimes that neck joint does also want to move with it, so you do want to, you'd have to line things up. It's easier just to pop this out, realign it, and then pop it back in if you want to center that. And this back section back here is also really nicely done. The inner working sections and anything that is a darker color on here, honestly, is really nice looking. And I mean, the whole thing looks really nice, but this is where I think that in terms of, not painting it up or anything, Steel Haze might come out on top a little bit. But I think that's due to the darker colors. I think because it's darker blues, bordering on gray, on black really for some of these blues, as well as this darker brown and bronze color that they use. I do think you kind of get more realistic looking colors out of that, I feel like. All of these are detailed very nice, and it's really not this, this Armored Core's fault. It's just the lighter colors kind of make it look a little too much like a toy. But painting this up, I think even just the bare minimum of like panel lining might make this look a little better. And, you know, adding some dry brushing, painting, and, you know, battle damage or whatever will make this look even more sick. Now, what I really like is how the torso is done. Really, the upper torso section, you have the separation of this darker color going on with these lighter colors. A lot of these panels look great. Be careful when you're snipping whatever this is out. It doesn't look like it on camera, but there was ever so slightly plastic stressing, and this thing will break on you if you are not careful. Whatever this is, I still need to play the game. I've been bad. Does this move? I don't remember. If it does, I don't think it does move. It's moving a little bit, so you get motion out of that. You also have these separate sections here. I don't know every inner working of an armored core again, but like they have really nice separation of these parts with like these vent sections, whatever this back, this back thruster section, looking really nice. These I don't believe are the same type of thrusters. No, they're not the same type of thrusters as Steel Haze, but thrusters on here, they're done really well. And I'm going to go over some things that have articulation I will talk about slightly in this section, just in case I miss it in the actual articulation section. But these things do move around a little bit. Again, like this like darker brown or whatever this color would be, like separated with all of this, it looks great. I feel like seam lines, like, yeah, they could be a little apparent. They get hidden pretty well, especially on top because this separate piece covers that. But yeah, you really don't get that many seam lines, like, at all. I think maybe in the arm. Actually, I don't even see a seam line in the arm. I don't remember how the arm right here is done, if this is one piece or two piece. But 2 pieces, I should say. I think it's 1 piece. A lot of just great stuff going on the shoulders. Then we get down to the lower part of the arms, separated parts right here. We actually have some separate hand motion here due to the design of how an orbiter is done. Whereas with Steel Haze, these hands cannot really move at all. But the inside here, I really like how these, these fingers look there. It does kind of look like it's holding something in there that's not painted, but that's fine because once you put a weapon in there, it doesn't really matter. Now the other arm, it's slightly asymmetrical because it's overall the same mold in like how the armor is done, but then the outer section has this attachment point for that pile bunker, and then in that attachment point you have this separate piece of plastic that acts like a wire, and then all of that plugs into this part of this arm. I think it does, or maybe it just places onto there. And then this is all just the same type of hand system going on there, where the back of the hand can be removed. And I'll even show you. This is how you would do the separation of the hands there. They're just a peg. They're not on the ball joint or anything like a Gunpla would be. This is a little bit of a loose piece sometimes, but this part being asymmetrical with the other arm, the little armor piece, whatever this is, looks pretty nice. So I don't know how much I've talked about the torso already, but giving you one quick look before I keep going to the lower half of the figure. Again, all of this is begging to be panel lined. A little bit of a seam line here. Seam lines really aren't that bad. I'm just noticing it a little bit as I look hard enough, but even then, seam lines really don't bug me that much on a model kit. Down to the lower torso here, not much going on. Separation of parts. I really like how they did, like, excuse me, the thigh sections here, or like just going into the legs, the way that like these rivets look in here, and then you have this inner working going on there, and then you have the thrusters on top of the legs that look, I think that they're thrusters, but they still look really good. Separated part right there, like this like removable, not removable, but this moving type of section here. It doesn't actually move, but it's as if, I don't know, just like this separated part on the upper leg there just looks really cool, as if it was covering something. Now these are legs on a ball joint. I don't believe they're I don't think they're compatible, because this ball joint goes in to that lower torso section, whereas this here goes in that. So those aren't compatible. I believe the torsos and arm sections are going to be compatible. I'm going to test that out. Yeah, so you can mix those up if you really wanted to. I think the shoulders are interchangeable. I'm just going to do this really quick. Probably should have done this in a separate section. But yeah, that it's a little loose, but that will fit in there. So they definitely thought about not entirely every single part being interchangeable with each other, but you know, the Orbiter model kits will definitely be compatible with each other, so that's nice to see. Now we move on to, I mean, just like the plating and the armor. Like this back section looks really nice. Really nice detail. But I gotta move on to the rest of the lights because we're running a little behind. These could definitely be a little bit more detailed, but the actual detail that we have here looks really good. And again, panel line is gonna fix that. This seam line is kind of not great, I'll admit that. And then maybe a little bit of a parent seam line down that knee section. Not too bad though. This large like kneecap section, whatever this is pretty sick. It doesn't really get in the way of anything too much. And then we have like these like vent sections, I guess. Armor plating all the way down to where it'd be on the shins. The inner workings on the back of the leg look fantastic with like these pistons going on here. These also look like it should be painted. I'll have to do that later. Little back sections are separate pieces of plastic there. The like shin area here that goes up and down, it's a little bit loose, but not painfully so. And then just looking at the bottom of the feet, great detailing there. And then it's really hard to look on the top because these things cover this. But on the top of the feet, you get a little bit of that detailing too. So something fell off. Yeah, the earpiece fell off here. Yeah, this thing looks really fantastic. Again, just some extra painting and detailing comes a long way. Before I move on, I forgot to mention how this visor piece is separated when it's in just like normal head mode. These sections here, I didn't talk about the detailing. And then you can see how, you know, these are emptied out. You don't have those back attachment points there. And then be careful with this little shoulder piece here. It is pretty fragile. So the head motion really does not go up at all, but it can go down pretty decently. Side to, well, a pivot on the ball joint here, not great. Swivel's just fine. You can also make it swivel at this separate neck piece, but that's a little redundant. These don't move, but you get a ball joint going on here, which I don't think I mean, these are two pieces wedged together, but you don't have that problem that Steel Haze had where it just like felt really thin, felt it was going to break. This also can move a little bit outward. You can make the arms go out this much. I feel like Steel Haze might be ever so slightly better in terms of range of motion, but this is still really nice. Then, you know, again, ball jointing here can go, ball jointing, it doesn't make sense, but it goes all the way around here. Upper arm right here, swivel. You can make a single jointed elbow go down. It won't go down all the way as due to the design. Then goes up that far, and then you can swivel the arm right here. You get, I already mentioned this having a swivel, these having articulation. So we have a ball joint here at the waist that can get a little loose, but just push it down a little bit and it's fine. Side to side, forward and back. Not the greatest range of motion, but side to side and like this tilt, that's fine. The legs, actually not as bad of a split as I thought it was going to be with how these are angled. But then you do get, I mean, the arms will get in the way, of course, but they can go pretty much all the way around. It's almost like a Y joint, but it still functions more like a T joint. And then this actually moves up and down here. So you can make it kick out a decent amount. And then just be careful because that can be undone a little bit. That peg swivels a little bit in there. We do get a double joint knee combination going all the way here. Still looks a little hindered, but it's a pretty big, bulky mech suit. I'm not going to complain. Then this goes up and down like I mentioned. The foot can go up and down here. I think it's a ball joint, so it goes side to side. I don't think it's a traditional hinge, like a side-to-side hinge. It's just a ball joint. And then you can make it swivel too a little bit. Some areas are a little hindered, but overall really decent articulation. Measuring out the figure in terms of centimeters, I did this before I filmed this, and it was at 14 centimeters, but it looks like it's like a little less than that here. Regardless, we're getting it around 5.5 inches with this model kit. Now, in terms of head placements, Nightfall here is going to be a little bit taller than Steel Haze, but the back attachments actually technically make Steel Haze taller. Gundams, I'm pretty sure, are supposed to be taller than Armored Core, so this is not a very accurate size comparison, and I need to finish this review because I've been really behind, but this is the new Requiem for Vengeance EX Gundam. Yeah, you can see that that's going to be just a tiny bit shorter. Marvel Legends, Black Series figures, of course, are going to be a little bit taller. Overall, I think that Bandai is 2 for 2 on this 30-minute missions Armored Core line. I think that both of these kits are fantastic. Me personally, I'm siding with Nightfall being my favorite so far, just by a little bit. I do think that the lighter colors here kind of mute some of the detailing going on. When you panel line and detail this up, which I'm definitely going to recommend you doing that, it's going to look fantastic. I think that the darker colors on Steel Haze have that beat because of that just a little bit. And it's not really Steel Haze's fault because of how it's designed. I think that certain aspects of Nightfall are done a little bit better in terms of proportions, the way it stands, the shoulder area. That joint splitting is not a problem on the Steel Haze. And because it's standing upright a little bit more than how Steel Haze is doing, Nightfall is going to have some better posing, I think, and not having areas that are a little fragile. I mean, there's a lot of thin proportions on Steel Haze, so I really cannot blame that model kit for that. That's the design. This one, though, a lot of the stuff with this just works well. Articulation-wise, it's not much different compared to Steel Haze, just slightly better in some areas and maybe slightly worse in some areas, but overall still really fun to pose around. I also really like all of the accessories that this comes with, and then the compatibility of the other weapons that you get throughout this line is going to be really fantastic. Very fun model kit. Took me a little while to build. It's a little bit more complex than an actual 30-minute missions, but it's definitely worth the time putting into building this and then extra time to detailing. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you think about the model kit, what you think about the review. Leave a like, share amongst your friends. Follow me on Instagram for more content over there, and I'll see you guys later.